Hey, Michelle, how's it going today?
Hey, Lindsay. Good. How are you?
Oh, I am feeling fantastic today. All good, but I have a question to start off today's episode.
Yes.
So, were you afraid of monsters as a kid? Like, were you worried there was a monster under your bed or that kind of thing when you were a kid?
I think I was afraid of monsters. I don't know if like monsters in the specific sense of how you imagine them, but I think I was more afraid of bad guys, like somebody coming to
Bad
take me or
guys.
something like that. What about you?
Oh, scary. Even
Yeah.
scarier than monsters. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
well, my first horror movie was Poltergeist. Do you remember Poltergeist? Did you ever
I
see
know
that?
the name, but I've never
Oh.
I've never seen it. I don't do those movies.
Yeah, I don't know why I watched it as a kid, and it was very scary, totally freaked me out, and so I guess I was scared of ghosts or spirits, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, as a parent now because like my son, he'll say like, "Oh, are there monsters?" And a lot of times, I read that you should just say monsters aren't real instead of because sometimes apparently some parents go in and say, "Oh, I'm getting rid of any monsters. I'm putting this potion. They're not going to come." And I've read just say they're not real, and that's it. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, just don't
yeah.
entertain the
Right, just they're not real. But the tough part is when he asks me things like, "Are there any bad guys in this world?" He's like and then I'm
Mm,
like, "Ooh." So anyway, that's a topic
it's
for another day. How to talk
complicated.
to a kid about that. Maybe our listeners have suggestions. It's like, the innocence is starting to go away a little bit.
Oh, sad. Yeah, that must be hard. You just gotta read up on it, Michelle, and talk to other parents on what to
Exactly,
do. Yeah?
exactly. I don't know what to say. So anyway, but today we're going to talk about monsters. No, we're going to
Real
teach a
monsters.
useful, yeah, about a useful expression that comes up pretty often in English conversations, and I know this because it just came up in my life. Um,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
you want to know what the expression is?
Yeah, what is it? Let's do it.
I- It's "I created a monster."
Oh, love that one. Yes. Now, this is an example of a real monster you could create, right? Where it would be a real thing, right?
Right, but what do we mean by monster? Like, we don't like, when we say monster, I mean, we're gonna talk more about this, but, like, basically, we're not talking about a real monster, you know?
Yeah. It means when you've allowed super common and actually interesting expression, I think, in
Yeah.
English. When you've allowed someone to kinda have their way, I guess. For example, if you allow this could be like your kids, like if you allow your kids too much leeway, then they could get a little bit out of control. Or if you're a boss and you
Yes.
allow your employees to just be whatever, do things that maybe aren't great for the business, but are great for them. Also could be the situation you've created
Yeah,
monsters, right? Yeah. What
right.
else? What else?
Yeah. Well, the free dictionary said to instruct, encourage, or instigate someone to act or behave in a certain way, only for them to do so to an excessive, often unwanted degree. So it's basically like you started something, you created it, you gave this permission, you gave this idea, you gave whatever it was. And then it kind of went too far. And
Went too
so we're
far.
going to talk about some examples today. So this is a good expression. I feel like it's used pretty frequently, don't you, Lindsay?
Yeah, I think it's really fun too. It's a fun
Yeah.
way to say something's gotten out of control and you've had a role in that and you don't know what to do now.
Yeah. Well, another fun expression we recently taught on the podcast was rent free. So that was, if you want to learn more about that, that was recently. That was episode 2084. Have you heard the term rent free in English? So now we're giving you a new cool expression
Cool
to
and
use.
modern. Yeah, I love it when we cover these
Yes.
really modern expressions, guys. You can't get these in a textbook. So All Ears English is the place to
No.
get it. So hit follow right here on this show. Good stuff. Michelle, did your
Exactly.
friend use this the other day? Did you have a conversation with a friend where they
She
used it?
did. I can't remember. I unfortunately can't remember the exact way that she used it, but I remember when she used it, I said, "Aha, there's a podcast."
Aha.
Like, that
Yes.
is definitely a good one for the podcast. It was about her son, something,
Okay.
I wish I remembered what it was, but yeah, it's definitely a good one to use about your kids. Let's talk about some examples, like why you might use them. We're gonna talk through them, what this means. I don't know if this originally comes from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or just that
Mm.
idea. I think it's the idea of kind of Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
I don't, so guys, if you've read Frankenstein, let us know. But I've created a monster. You were the one to make it. So let's give a couple examples here. So in one situation, it could be you encouraged a friend to focus more on fashion choices, and
Yeah.
now that's all he or she can think about or talk about. Right, Lindsay?
Right, so maybe before this, you had a friend that was, had a variety of interests, but then you said, "Oh, what about fashion? Like, have a look." And then all of a sudden they went so deep into it. So for example, I taught Lewis some basic fashion rules, but now he's obsessed with it. I definitely created a monster.
Right. So you started it, you suggested it, maybe you taught him a little bit, and now all the conversations are about fashion and everybody's sick of it. And you're like, I created a
Yeah, the person
monster.
is obsessive and it's out of control. You don't know what to do. Um, or another situation, Michelle, you taught your friend some cool social media tricks and now she's always just glued to her phone making videos. Okay. She's always got the
Yes.
video in the face. Ugh.
Yeah, all the time. So, for example, I told Anna how to use Instagram, but now she's obsessed with it. I created a monster.
Yes, another good example, it's when the person becomes, like, obsessed with something or starts to do something too much. Like, you've allowed them or you've introduced something to them, and now it's going out of control. Or your child. What about this, Michelle? You teach your kid something.
Yep, you taught your child to throw everything in the trash after eating, but now the child throws away things that are not trash. So they're just like throwing things in the trash. So for
That's
example, I
funny.
finally got Frankie to clean up after himself, but now he throws everything away. I created a monster.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I like that. So is this a bad thing, Michelle, to do this, to have created a monster? What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of times it's said as a joke, right? It's
Yeah.
just like a funny commentary. I mean, it could be used in a more serious way if it's about something serious, like, oh, I really created a monster. But I think it generally has a playful tone to it. What do you think?
I would say it's pretty playful. Yeah, it's kinda
Mhm.
like also a sense of you're kinda resigned to this, like, you don't know what to do. You need a little help maybe in how you can
Right.
redirect the attention to something else for this person. Um
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's so funny. That's definitely something that is used in everyday conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle, so I wanna, let our listeners know back to a previous episode, right, that we talked
Yeah.
about recently that I want them to go back and check out. That was episode 2088 that came out November 1st on a different topic, but also very modern and important. We talked about reading books, guys, and the vocabulary that you need for sharing your reading style, right, Michelle, you remember that one?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, right now we already mentioned a book, Frankenstein, right? So,
Yes. Love
but
that.
yeah, this can be so refreshing in a world with so much technology.
Yeah, there really is. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed with tech sometimes, so being able to talk about books is key. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, guys, actually, reading is such a great way to practice another language.
That's true, Michelle. It's not always just about speaking. We know we've interviewed language learning experts on this
Yeah.
show. I mean, we've been to school to study these things. You do need to do multiple things, not just speaking. You need reading, listening, writing. You need all the skills involved. Okay.
Yeah. And you know what? I have a goal, Lindsay.
I love it.
One
Love it.
day,
Love it. Yeah.
One day I would like to read a novel in another language. It's a big goal and I really have to work up to it.
Hmm.
But it is a goal of mine for one day. But guys, that's why I'm using the stories feature on Rosetta Stone to help learn this. They have short stories you can listen to and read.
I love that, Michelle. It's great to have a goal and to have the tools to go ahead and go for it,
Yeah.
right? So, I've been checking out these stories too a little bit when I have time for my Portuguese, because our listeners know I've shared that I want to be able to read signs, menus, and brochures on my trip, which is coming up very soon, Michelle here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
crazy. Yes.
definitely. It's huge when you are traveling and you can, be able to read the signs, the menus. Like there's so much. I don't think we really consider reading enough, or at least I don't. Sometimes reading is something that falls by the wayside until you need it. And so that's why I want to get myself up to a certain level where I really can read more. And I love on Rosetta Stone, you can even record yourself reading stories. So, yeah, it's reading, but all the skills of learning are really mixed together here.
Yeah, that is huge. That's going to create a more well rounded practice. So, guys, we recommend
Mhm.
Rosetta Stone. You can try Rosetta Stone out for yourself, and you can get an exclusive deal that we've arranged because of our partnership. All Ears English has a partnership
Mhm.
with Rosetta Stone, right, Michelle?
Yeah. Yeah, guys, and for a limited time, you can get lifetime access to 25 different languages with Rosetta Stone.
I love this. It's such a good deal. So that's 40% off of this lifetime membership, $179 for life. Lifetime access is amazing. I know a lot of our listeners do worry about expiration dates because they're busy professionals, Michelle.
Right.
So that's why I think this lifetime access deal is going to be great for them. Yeah.
Definitely. And this gives you the opportunity to practice languages of your choice, right? And you can practice speaking, reading, pronunciation, vocab, and more. So, one day I'm working up to it. I
You'll
will
get
read
there.
that novel in French.
You'll get there, Michelle. I know you will. I'm feeling good. We're going to check back in with you on
Yes.
that soon, though.
Uh
Love it.
oh.
So the stories feature rosettastone.com/AEE to get this special deal. And you can use coupon code AEE and check out that stories feature to really go deeper with reading. Good stuff.
Definitely. And guys, this is only good for a limited time, so get over and do that today. So that's ROSETTASTONE.com/AEE. So go on and get started today. Get to it.
Yeah, and guys, write into us, right? Once you have actually tried Rosetta Stone, come over, send us an email. Let us know how it went. Ask us an
Yeah.
extension question, and maybe we can make another episode about how to really maximize this program, the app Rosetta Stone, and how to go deeper and deeper using Rosetta Stone. So good. So send your questions to Lindsay at allearsenglish.com. Good stuff. All right,
All
Michelle.
right.
Yeah, so getting back to monsters, right?
And back
Creating a
to
monster.
monsters.
Yeah. What are some other ways that would mean the same thing? Other ways to say it?
Okay. Well, it's interesting because I've heard you say this a couple times already on the episode, so I know it's natural. The first one is it got out of control. Something gets out of control.
Yes.
Does that feel natural to you?
Oh, yeah, I have said it a few times. That's exactly the first thing that came to mind. I wanted my friend to text me more, but it got out of control. She texts me like 30 times a day. Michelle, do you have any friends that text like that? That amount of
I
texting?
I do have one.
Oh, no.
And
Wow.
sometimes I'm busy and I don't respond, and it's just yeah, and
Uh,
then I feel bad. Yeah, so I do. But, she's
intense.
very sweet.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm sure.
yes.
Intense. What else?
And what's the last one?
Well, when something backfires. So this kind of is
Mhm.
exactly the same thing. And I was just listening to a daily episode, the Daily from the New York Times, and they used this expression backfiring. They're thinking about a new legislation in California. We can go into that another day. And they're worried
Okay.
about bills backfiring, legislative bills backfiring in certain ways. So it
Mhm.
backfired. I recommended he look for a new job, but it backfired on me. He spends all day and night networking and job hunting. Right. So people go very heavily into their, tunnel vision.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's another time you could use it. So guys, I created a monster, it got out of control, and it backfired. So
Yeah.
those are
That
really good ones to use when you started something.
I
I
know.
mean, the other expressions you can use in slightly different ways at other times. We can do follow-ups on them, but the main idea of what we're trying to get across is to use them in ways that are you started something and now you're kind of kicking yourself over it. Like, oh, now this is all that can happen. I let this get out of control.
I should have known, right? When I got this
Yeah.
person into this, I should have known this would happen, but I didn't. And so now I don't know what to do. um,
Right, right.
all right. And I think kids are a great example, right? Because as a parent, you set the rules, right? You show them what
Mhm.
to do, how to navigate through the world. And then kids have their own minds and take things in their own way, don't they, Michelle?
They sure do. And
Yeah, I love it.
so let's do a role play so you guys can see how this could all fit together. And Lindsay, I've been working on choosing more interesting names for
Oh,
my role
thank
plays.
you. I
I
love
don't
that,
know if you've
Michelle.
noticed it. Recently,
Love
I did
it.
Chloe. I mean, I was hoping you would notice,
I didn't,
but
but now I'm noticing because you brought it to my attention, and I appreciate it. Shelby, Chloe, I'm liking it, I'm liking it.
I'm gonna keep on thinking of some good names. All right, so
All
here
right.
we are talking about our friends' habits. We are friends.
All right, here we go. Shelby is really obsessed with her looks all of a sudden.
I know it's my fault. I taught her about makeup.
Well, you created a monster, Michelle. I mean, yes.
I know it got out of control.
It totally backfired on you. Nice.
Okay.
I like how this episode has 3 key phrases, right? Very straightforward. Our listeners can write these down, guys. You can use all of them. So good. All right. So, Michelle, let's go through this role play. Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about somebody being obsessed with her looks, and I'm the one who taught her about makeup, and you actually said, "Well, you created a monster." So it can be used about somebody else like to talk to somebody else or to give them a little jab. You were the one that did it, right?
Yeah, that's interesting because that was the first time in the episode we had seen,
Yeah?
you know me saying to you, to someone
Yep,
else, someone saying to someone else that they had, but you can totally do that, right? I think
for
I
sure.
hear it more about something I like if I say it, "I've done this," right? "I've created a
Yeah.
monster." That's the most
Yeah.
common way, but certainly you can
Yeah.
turn it back around and say, "You did this." Teasing a
Right.
little bit. Yeah.
Exactly, this would be teasing. And then I said, "I know it got out of control."
And then I say it totally backfired on you. Another great expression where something essentially comes back to hurt you or harm you in some way. That can
Yeah.
be used in a more serious way too, as I said about that episode that I listened to in the daily, but we use it for teasing as well, right?
Right. Right, right, right. Alright, so what's the takeaway for today, Lindsay?
Guys, this is useful. I mean, it's first of all, it's fun, right? It's fun language. I created a monster. I don't think this exists. I mean, maybe this does exist in other languages,
Yeah,
but
let us know.
let us know if it does exist in your language. If it doesn't, let's add some color to
Mhm.
our English here and our connections. That's what it does, Michelle. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's super fun. I think it's just always you know what? I feel like whenever anybody says this, it kinda makes the other person laugh, like, in a
Yeah,
way. It's just it's just a fun one. I don't
it's
know, but
just
it's very
fun.
common, it's very useful, and you'll start to, in your head, when you are in certain situations, see if you think to yourself now, is there any has this happened to you? And is there
Yeah.
any time where you could practice this expression dealing with that? Maybe you realized, "Oh, wait, I did teach my wife that. I did teach I did encourage someone to do this and now it's too
Mm.
much." And so think, maybe there's some situation now where you can realize, "Oh, actually I can use that about this." That's a good way to apply what we learned today to your everyday life.
Yeah, and just one final thought here. I wonder if it could be used sarcastically. I guess it could, right? So I'm thinking
Mhm.
about like tennis parents. Your parents push you into tennis, but then you become like a champion. Could that parent use that sarcastically? Like, congratulations, your
Hmm.
son won the New England championships. I know we've created a monster here. Would you say that? Or what do you think? Would you stick to more honest situations where, yeah, actually is not the best thing that I've just created?
That's a good question. I think
Yeah.
it's more frequently towards that, but I think it could be used about a positive thing, like maybe you encouraged your child to do like community service and then they started up a whole, nonprofit or something like that. Like
Right. That's what I
one
mean.
day as they grew up, yeah, and you could say, "Yep, we created a monster." Yeah, I think if
I
they're
think you
doing something
could.
good, I think you could.
Yeah, I think you could. Or like you're saying, if your son loves languages, you took him to Paris, right?
Yeah.
And now he wants to learn German and all these other languages. He's all excited about it. I
Yeah.
guess that could be like a positive thing as long as you use the right tone of voice. But the more common
Right.
usage is definitely, oh, I created a problem and I don't know what to do. So,
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think you that is a good point, Lindsay, because especially, yeah, I'm thinking about with my son, I could say something like that as a joke. Yeah.
it's a joke. I love it. So good. So good. Super interesting today, Michelle. Thanks for bringing this scary expression and bringing the monsters into all ears English. And you have a good rest of your day.
You too, Lindsay. Have a good day. Bye,
Take care,
guys.
bye.